Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie and I'm an alcoholic in recovery. My sobriety from alcohol date is March 9th, 2021, and today I'm filming this video podcast on November 28th, 2025. So that puts me a little over 4.5 years without alcohol, and I've worked all of the steps, and this channel, Better Than Drinking, is my way of killing time and saving lives. This is my 12th step. So whenever you're encountering this video podcast or audio podcast, I want to say thank you for being here. I'm grateful for you, grateful for your life. I'm so happy that you're here. Please stay. It's important as we move through our addiction recovery to have a nice beverage to keep us company, to pacify us. If we're not drinking alcohol, it's important that we put new habits in place of those old bad habits. Right now, I'm drinking some black tea, warm black tea with cinnamon and ginger in it. And I have a great story about this mug. It says 6 Feet Under, which is a TV show, an HBO original TV show. And this is one of my favorite mugs because I love this show so much. It was early 2000s when this show came out. I absolutely adore the show. And I used to be married to a screenwriter. And he was able to do a pitch meeting with a executive at HBO. He saw that mug on the executive's desk and asked if he could get one. And the executive just gave him the mug that he had right there. And so that's how I attained that actual legit 6 Feet Under coffee mug from an HBO executive back in the day. That is the father of my son, and we still have a good relationship to this day. I'm very grateful for that. And one of the reasons is because I got off of the alcohol. We are going to get straight into our big book study now. Where we left off from last week is the beginning of page 15. The chapter is Bill's story. My wife and I abandon ourselves with enthusiasm to the idea of helping other alcoholics to a solution of their problems. It was fortunate for my old business associates remained skeptical for 1.5 years, during which I found little work. I was not too well at the time and was plagued by waves of self-pity and resentment. This sometimes nearly drove me back to drink, but I soon found that when all other measures failed, work with another alcoholic would save the day. Pause there. There's so many nuggets of wisdom in this book that I have to pause every half a paragraph. I'm also a really opinionated person. When all other measures failed, work with another alcoholic would save the day. And this is true. Giving back the program is what helps. When I'm feeling my worst, I talk to someone about the program, or I call someone in the program, or I make a video about the program, or I sit down with my journal and I work the program. And it is 100% true. It always makes me feel better. And the more I do that, the further I get from that bottle and I don't crave it. Many times I have gone to my old hospital in despair. On talking to a man there, I would be amazingly lifted up and set on my feet. It is a design for living that works in rough going. We commenced to make many fast friends, and a fellowship has grown up among us, which is a wonderful thing to feel apart. The joy of living we really have, even under pressure and difficulty. I have seen hundreds of families set their feet in the path that really goes somewhere. Have seen the most impossible domestic situations righted, feuds and bitterness of all sorts wiped out. I have seen men come out of asylums and resume a vital place in the lives of their families and communities. Business and professional men have regained their standing. There is scarcely any form of trouble and misery which has not been overcome among us. In one Western city and its environs, there are 1,000 of us and our families. Pause there. The numbers are skewed because this edition is at least 50 years old. We meet frequently so that newcomers may find the fellowship they seek. At these informal gatherings, one may often see from 50 to 200 persons. We are growing in numbers and power. An alcoholic in his cups is an unlovely creature. Our struggles with them are variously strenuous, comic and tragic. Oh, an alcoholic in his cups is an unlovely creature. What a statement. I need to pause and highlight. So Bill's story, the chapter Bill's story, ends with an awesome little nugget, because so true. You don't have to be an alcoholic to understand this. If I just say this sentence to you, an alcoholic in his cups is an unlovely creature. An alcoholic in his cups. That's so adorable. In his cups. So basically, an alcoholic who's actively drinking is an unlovely creature. Yeah, that's putting it nicely, I'd say. Our struggles with them are variously strenuous, comic, and tragic. One poor chap committed suicide in my home. He could not or would not see our way of life. Wow. Pause there. Bill just said that someone who was actively drinking in the program ended his own life in Bill's house. Someone that Bill either knew through the program or knew before and got into the program ended their own life. So yes, it is strenuous going, and you will lose people, and it will hurt a lot, but it always gets better. There is, however, a vast amount of fun about it all. I suppose some would be shocked at our seeming worldliness and levity, but just underneath there is a deadly earnestness. Faith has to work 24 hours a day in and through us, or we perish. Most of us feel we need look no further for utopia. We have it with us right here and now. Each day, my friend's simple talk in our kitchen multiplies itself in a widening circle of peace on earth and goodwill to men. Yes. And Bill W., he's the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. He died January 24th of 1971. And that concludes chapter 1 of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, where Bill was first introduced and is beginning to testify and co-founding the program. Bill was basically one of the first. It is true that in the meetings and the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, you will find great levity, humor, ingeniousness, creativity, all kinds of human uniqueness blossoming. It's few of the members that you'll see at any given meeting who is super downtrodden and crying and about to fall out. Most of the people who are working the program and they're doing great and they're living the promises. And it looks like that. So they're happy places. Whatever you see depicted in the movies and on TV for Alcoholics Anonymous meetings is probably incorrect, by the way. So go to one if you want to know about one. And if not, just stay here with me and I'll spoon feed you little bits that I think are pertinent for any person, especially an atheist, which is what I am. Moving on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous is called There is a Solution. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem. We are average Americans. All sections of this country and many of its occupations are represented, as well as many political, economic, social, and religious backgrounds. We are people who normally would not mix, but there exists among us a fellowship, a friendliness, and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. Okay, I'm going to pause there again. It's true. One of the most horribly insidious things about alcoholism is the fact that it doesn't discriminate. So you're rich, you're poor, you're ugly, you're pretty. It doesn't matter where you come from. Binary, girl, boy, man, woman, doesn't matter. It is indiscriminate as far as that goes. And so in the rooms of I'm so excited that I'm tripping over my words. Because it's true, in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and in the meetings and in the program, you will meet the most interesting mix of individuals who normally wouldn't be coming together other than picking each other off of a drunken bar floor or getting into a fight somewhere. People from all walks of life, from doctors to lawyers to musicians to unhoused folks to the dog walker to the nanny to the dentist to the influencer, everyone in between. It's fascinating and it's a great place to meet people. It really is. And meeting new people is how we create better, healthier, newer habits. Because as you stop drinking, you have to create new habits to put in its place. Drinking takes time and energy. What are you going to put in its place? You're going to stand there idle by? No. That's how we get in trouble. All right. We are like the passengers of a great liner, the moment after rescue from shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage to captain's table. Unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy in escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. The feeling of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us, but that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. Yes, that community of this program is what will help you float in between your meetings. It will stay with you. It's a lightness. And that's not all that you need, by the way. They're saying it will, that feeling, that camaraderie is part of the glue of the steps that you will work. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. An illness of this sort, and we have come to believe it an illness, involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for them, and no one is angry or hurt. But not so with alcoholic illness, for with it there goes annihilation of all the things worthwhile in life. It engulfs all whose lives touch the sufferers. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives of blameless children, sad wives, spouses, and parents. Anyone can increase the list. That's 100% true. I don't need to put anything else there. You know that to be true. We hope this volume will inform and comfort those who are or whom may be affected. There are many highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us, have found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss their situation without reserve. Strangely enough, wives, parents, and intimate friends usually find us even more unapproachable than do the psychiatrist and the doctor. But the ex-problem drinker who has found the solution, who is properly armed with facts about themselves, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours. Until such an understanding is reached, little or nothing can be accomplished. Okay, pause there. What they're saying here is there's something about the fellowship and the peril of alcoholism and sharing that with another alcoholic, especially through the program, that supersedes wives, parents, relationships with psychiatrists, as far as the bond and the trust that can grow quite instantaneously between two people who are alcoholics. And that is 100% true. You'll find instant friends, instant camaraderie in these rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I cannot say enough. I'll cry if I think about it too much because it saved my life. And all the people in it are friends for life. And they're the fabric that catches me when I fall before I drink. That the man who is making the approach has had the same difficulty, that he obviously knows what he is talking about, that his whole deportment shouts at the new prospect that he is a man with a real answer, that he has no attitude of holier than thou, nothing whatever except the sincere desire to be helpful, that there are no fees to pay, no axes to grind, no people to please, no lectures to be endured. These are the conditions we have found most effective. Pause there. They're saying they know that in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, the problem drinker is not going to be able to accept this program if there is hierarchy, if there are fees, if there are axes to grind, lectures to be endured. They know that it won't be a fallible program, and so they take great pains to format this program to avoid those things, and format meetings to avoid those things that will turn off the problem drinker. None of us makes a sole vocation of this work, nor do we think its effectiveness would be increased if we did. We feel that elimination of our drinking is but a beginning. We much more important demonstration of our principles lies before us in our respective homes, occupations, and affairs. All of us spend much of our spare time in the sort of effort which we are going to describe. A few are fortunate enough to be so situated that they can give nearly all their time to the work. Pause. Right there, he's talking about the fact that it's important to live your life working the program in real time. If you did the program like as a business, it probably wouldn't be very good. But working the program personally means living a true and full life as well, and applying the program to said life. If we keep on the way we are going, there is little doubt that much good will result, but the surface of the problem would hardly be scratched. Those of us who live in large cities are overcome by the reflection that clothes by hundreds are dropping into oblivion every day. Many could recover if they had the opportunity we have enjoyed. How then shall we present that which has been so freely given to us? We have concluded to publish an anonymous volume setting forth the problem as we see it. We shall bring to the task our combined experience and knowledge. This should suggest a useful program for anyone concerned with a drinking problem. If necessity, there will have to be discussion of matters medical, psychiatric, social, and religious. We are aware that these matters are, from their very nature, controversial. Nothing would please us so much as to write a book which would contain no basis for contention or argument. Pause there. They've purposely and perfectly constructed this program and book to avoid things of contention and divisiveness, as in matters of psychiatry, psychotropic medication, political matters, financial matters, and such of that. So you will find this principle often repeated in the program, that we do not deal with outside matters. In that matter, we are only dealing with alcohol. We don't address the others. We have no stance on the others. Nothing would please us so much as to write a book which would contain no basis for contention or argument. We shall do our utmost to achieve that ideal. Most of us sense that real tolerance of other people's shortcomings and viewpoints and a respect for their opinions are attitudes which make us more useful to others. Our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depend on our constant thought of others and how we may help meet their needs. You may already have asked yourself why it is that all of us become so very ill from drinking. Doubtless you are curious to discover how and why, in the face of expert opinion to the contrary, we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you are an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may already be asking, what do I have to do? It is the purpose of this book to answer such questions specifically. We shall tell you what we have done. Before going into a detailed discussion, it may be well to summarize some points as we see them. How many times people have said to us, I can take it or leave it alone. Why can't he? Meaning alcohol. Why don't you drink like a gentleman or quit? That fellow can't handle his liquor. Why don't you try beer and wine? Lay off the hard stuff. His willpower must be weak. He could stop if he wanted to. She's such a sweet girl. I should think he'd stop for her sake. The doctor told him that if he ever drunk again, it would kill him, but there he is, all lit up again. Now, these are commonplace observations on drinkers, which we hear all the time. Back of them is a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. We see that these expressions refer to people whose reactions are very different from ours. Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely. If they have good reason for it, they can take it or leave it alone. Then we have a certain type of hard drinker. They may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair themselves physically and mentally. It may cause them to die a few years before their time. If a sufficiently strong reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environment, or the warning of a doctor becomes operative, this person can also stop or moderate, although they may find it difficult and troublesome and may even need medical attention. Pause there. Let's note the patriarchy that this book is all default he. if somebody wants to argue the patriarchy is not oppression, in the United States, everything we read defaults to he. But it's easy for my little Stephanie blonde girl brain, white girl brain over here to just switch the he to person and they, which I'm doing. But the brainwashing is deep, and I just want you to be mindful of that, because in defaulting to he, that connotes a hierarchy and therefore connotes feminine as submissive. Back to the book. But what about the real alcoholic? They may start off as a moderate drinker. They may or may not become a continuous hard drinker. But at some stage of their drinking career, they begin to lose control of the liquor consumption once they start to drink. Here's the person who has been puzzling you, especially in the lack of control. They do absurd, incredible, tragic things while drinking. They're a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and they seldom mildly intoxicated. They're always more or less insanely drunk. Their disposition while drinking resembles the normal nature, but little. Pause there. This book is hard to read if I'm changing the pronouns, but I am trying to do it because it's written choppy anyways. Remember, this was written 90 years ago, this book. So excuse me if I'm chopping it up. They may be one of the finest fellows in the world, yet let them drink for a day and they frequently become a disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial. They have a positive genius for getting tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. Pause there. What he is saying is that, let them drink for a day and they will begin to get drunk all the time and become antisocial. And let's clarify, antisocial means just against what social expectations are. So it doesn't mean necessarily that you want to hide away and not socialize. It means that you will veer off from the norm regularly if you're antisocial. And getting tight at exactly the wrong moment. I think they mean getting tight as in getting angry, which is true. We have a short temper, a lot of us, when we drink. Some of us are lovers and some of us are fighters. They are often perfectly sensible and well-balanced concerning everything except liquor, but in that respect they are incredibly dishonest and selfish. They often possess special abilities, skills, and aptitudes and have a promising career ahead of them. They use gifts to build up a bright outlook for their family and themselves, and then pull the structure down on their head by senseless series of sprees. They are the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated they ought to sleep the clock around, yet early next morning they search madly for the bottle they misplaced the night before. If they can afford it, they may have liquor concealed all over the house to be certain no one gets the entire supply away from them to throw down the waste pipe, period. I don't know why I said period out loud, because I wanted to pause there and say, yes, I used to hide alcohol all the time to make sure I had some and hide it from people in my life. As what they say is you're only as sick as your secrets. So think about that next time you hide something from someone. As matters grow worse, they begin to use a combination of high-powered sedative and liquor to quiet the nerves so that they can go to work. Let's pause there. Back in the day, you could get easily sedatives to basically quiet your nerves, actually subdue your central nervous system, because what happens when you stop drinking and you get like the shakes and that anxiety, what that is your central nervous system has been depressed by the alcohol to the point that when the depression stops, that central nervous system is overstimulated and you are feeling fried, shaky, and that's why a sedative would help calm the repercussions of alcohol overconsumption. Back in the day, super easy to get that stuff. Now, not so easy, but don't take any pills while you're drinking, please, and don't drink. Then comes the day when they simply cannot make it and they get drunk all over again. Perhaps they go to a doctor who gives them morphine or some sedative with which to taper off. Then they begin to appear at hospitals and sanitariums. This is by no means a comprehensive picture of the true alcoholic, as our behavior patterns vary, but this description should identify them roughly. This description definitely identifies me more than roughly. Why do they behave like this? If hundreds of experiences have shown them that one drink means another debacle with all its attendant suffering and humiliation, why is it they take that one drink? Why can't they stay on the water wagon? What has become of the common sense and willpower that they still sometimes display with respect to other matters? The water wagon, that's funny. Perhaps there will never be a full answer to these questions. Opinions vary considerably as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people. We are not sure why. Once a certain point is reached, little can be done for them. We cannot answer the riddle. We know that while the alcoholic keeps away from drink, as they may do for months or years, they react much like other men. We are equally positive that once they take any alcohol whatsoever into their system, something happens both in the body and mind, which makes it virtually impossible for them to stop. This experience of any alcoholic will abundantly confirm this. Let's pause right there. They believe in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I do as well. A true alcoholic, no matter if you want to constitute that as somebody who's born alcoholic or alcoholic is created, we don't need to debate that. But somebody who identifies as a problem drinker, one drink and they're off and running. We can never restore to normal drinking, and I'm putting air quotes there. Normal drinking, meaning once you start feeling yucky, you stop. Alcoholics love to ignore the fact that we were hurt by the alcohol. And so a normal drinker would take the cue and drink less. Somebody who's a problem drinker, we believe they're a problem drinker for life, and we cannot go back to the alcohol. And I truly do believe that. I cannot put alcohol to my lips because once I taste that stuff again, I will not be able to stop. That obsession gets in my mind. It feels like it eats my brain alive. I feel like RFK Jr. with the brain worm. Once I get some alcohol in my body, it's all I can think about. I'm obsessed. I want a little more. I want a little more. So then the rest of my time alive is me navigating between a buzz and not a buzz and just a little over a buzz. It's a very, very tight rope. And the problem with alcohol is the fun wears off quick. And at some point, you're just chasing the feeling of normal again. Just like with heroin addiction and opiates, you will just try not to feel dope sick in the end. And that's what I had to do with alcohol. I had delirium tremens. I thought I was going to die. I had to get a doctor's help and medication to get off of alcohol because I was a daily drinker. And it is tragic and sad, but an honest truth. I hid my drinking from a lot of people, and a lot of people didn't call me out on it. And I'm lucky to be alive today, and I'm lucky I didn't murder anyone with my car, because I was an irresponsible person, because I let my alcohol addiction take over my prefrontal cortex and stop me from making logical, smart, thoughtful decisions that made sense for me and my family and my community. As we work through the program, we're reaching out to be of service. Sometimes we're in a place of service at our work. I work in the dental field. I can be of service every day, put my needs aside, go above and beyond people, for people. And I can do that and feel good about myself. And I can do it at meetings. When I share at an AA meeting, and when I do my channel, do an episode on my channel and share with you, I am actually working the program. I'm being of service. And that, along with community, calling my friends and sponsors when I need to, and making sure I water that spiritual garden. So I just want to give a shout out to my friend Keith and my friend Mary, my 2 tried and true friends. And I have another one out there. Please send me your name. I think your username is, well, you know who you are. My regulars, tell me your name so I can shout you out. I appreciate y'all being here, showing up. Drop a comment if you can, like, share. Please tell people about this channel if they want to learn more about alcohol abstinence, if they just need someone in their ear while they're doing dishes or doing some chores or trying to fall asleep without the drink, because killing time here is saving our lives, and this is better than drinking. I'm proud of you and I appreciate you for being here and showing up for me and for yourself. This is how you make amends. You change your behavior. You do something different. You join me here. So if you have any suggestions for episode ideas, I'm open to ideas. Just drop me a comment, and you can also email me at steddydub@gmail.com. That's steadydub@gmail.com. And oh, one more shameless plug, because I always forget this. If you want to download my album anywhere, you can download it digitally on iTunes and Spotify and all that jazz. It is called Father Load by the artist Steady Dub, which is me. I released this a while ago, and this is my love letter to myself as my inner child and my adult self, and tells the story in pop Motown rap song form about what it's like coming from Detroit, moving to LA via New York City as an assault survivor. So, wishing you all the best wherever you are in the world. Cheers with a warm, cozy drink. I'll see you next time. No drinking. Keep smiling. Namaste.